The world's oldest group set manufacturer, Campagnolo, has just launched Super Record Wireless, which, as the name suggests, is wireless. Now, Super Record sits at the top of the tree. It's the best of the best, the feather in the cap for components when it comes to the revered Italian brand. So in this video, I'm going to tell you all about it, go through all the tech and all the features. So here it is, Super Record Wireless. We've literally just picked this up from Campagnolo HQ here in Italy, and then we brought it out here so that we can film and tell you everything about it. So headline stats, it's wireless. It looks absolutely beautiful with just carbon fiber and titanium everywhere. It's got a 12-speed cassette with a 10-tooth, and they've got rid of the thumb shifter on the shifters. If you're a Campag fan, you'll know what I'm talking about. But don't worry, because I'm going to go into more detail on all those things and more, because there's a lot going on here. But before I do that, if you like seeing the latest components detailed and demoed like this, then make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I know statistically quite a lot of you haven't yet. And it really does help support the channel and improve the content that we do. Oh, and because this is Campagnolo, a company with the richest heritage in all of cycling, I've been told that I've got to try and avoid all the usual cliches, which means that every time I talk about Italian passion and flair for design and heritage, that one doesn't count. Every time I mention, I'm gonna get hit in the family jewels. First up, the shifting. So according to Campagnolo's engineers, the shifting speed is said to be as fast as the wired EPS group set that this now supersedes. There's a removable battery on each of the derailleurs that can be recharged, and there is a 2032 coin cell in each of the shifter levers. It's 12-speed, and there's a new revised lever shape. Now, I can already sense nostalgic Campagnolo fans furiously typing away in the comment section, because yes, the, well, iconic for Campagnolo downshift thumb lever that went on the inside of each hood has gone. We now have two electronic buttons on the side of each brake lever blade. Now, Campagnolo say that the new shape and the new placement of the buttons yields superior ergonomics. The shifter hood is quite small, it feels nice in the hand, and it's said to have improved cushioning too. Some other neat little features too. So you've got little LED battery indicators just on the inside of the shifters here, hidden away. And there to tell you the status of the battery, the coin cell that's inside the shifter hood. Although I've been told by Campagnolo they should last 1.5 to 2 years, depending on how much you use it. There's also a manual override button. It's a little one that's hard to find, but you can press it and turn it off, which shuts the system off. So the way they work is there's a motion sensor built into the system, which when the bike is not in motion, it puts the system to sleep to save battery. However, if you put the bike in a car or a team truck and drive it to an event or race, that can then awaken the system, which can then drain your battery. Or if you put your bike with an electronic group set into the back of a car and the shifter buttons are sometimes depressed because they're pressed against something, you can get to your big event or race only to find that your battery has died, which is the worst thing. So having this manual shut-off button, I think it's a really great feature. The front and rear derailleurs have removable batteries, which can be charged on or off the bike. There's a magnetic charging cable, but they're not interchangeable. They're specific for front and rear. And I've been told that this is because of the different power demands of the front and rear mech, and they're designed to match that. The range of the system is said to be 750 kilometers, but I'm sure you'll appreciate this is hugely variable depending on how much you shift and the conditions you ride in. You can charge it very quickly though. So Campagnolo say that you can reach 90% capacity in just 45 minutes. It's very fast charging, and a full charge in just 60 minutes. Oh, and another detail on the batteries, but also the rest of the group set too, the bearings, the bottom bracket and everything, is that it's rated for IP69K. What the is that, I hear you ask? Well, it means it's a pressure washer rating for keeping out water and dust. So if you want to clean your bike with new Super Record Wireless on it, go crazy. Live your life. We need to talk about gearing because it's one of the distinguishing features of the new group set. So as mentioned, it's 12 speed and it's also 2x, no 1x option. There are 3 chain sets. They are 45-29, 48-32, which is what I've got fitted, and 50-34. There's also 3 different cassettes available, 10-25, 10-27, and 10-29. Mine's a 10-29. So why have they gone for these non-traditional gear ratios? Well, there's a couple of good reasons, according to Campag. If you have the 48-32 chain set paired with a 10-29, they say that gives you a bigger range of gears than a mid-compact 52-36 paired with an 11-32, which they say is ideal for the average consumer. But in addition to that, you have less big gaps between the gears on the rear cassette. So by having that 10-29, the gaps between each individual sprocket can be made less, meaning that you've got a much smoother transition up and down the cassette and the ability to much better tune the exact gear you're in to get the optimal cadence, which I need to do right now as I get out of breath up this climb. And while on the subject of the cassette, I feel compelled just to mention just how nice it looks as a piece of machined metal. They're actually made of hardened steel throughout the entire cassette, which is great because it means there's no soft aluminium rings, which you get on some cassettes, and the hardened steel wears at a much slower rate. So it's good that the whole cassette is made out of the same thing. The chain rings too are a thing of beauty, really nicely machined again. And apparently they've saved 18% of the weight off them over the previous Super Record. But it's not just a case of passion and flair. No, doesn't count that time. I'm saying it's not that. There's a lot of R&D has gone into this drivetrain and the gear ratios that they've chosen. So before going with a 10-tooth on the cassette, Campagnolo did some extensive studies because it has been discussed that 10-tooths are less mechanically efficient than an 11-tooth. So they did extensive testing, they built rigs, and they measured the drivetrain loss. And they found that yes, the 10-tooth is less mechanically efficient than the 11-tooth, but by only 0.1 of a watt. And so they decided that the bigger range of gears, the smaller gaps between each gear and the smoother shifting they could achieve throughout the entire cassette with a 10-tooth outweighed that very small drivetrain friction penalty. The brakes have been updated, so in addition to the new lever, you've also got a completely redesigned brake caliper. It's also got an external cosmetic difference in that it's now got a gloss finish instead of the matte that was on the previous ones. But the rotors themselves remain unchanged from Super Record EPS. If you've seen our video where we tried to test them to destruction, dragging them the entire way down the Passo Giao, you'll see that it's probably a case of if it isn't broken, don't fix it. There's a new chainset design, and it really is beautiful. It's just this wonderful synergy of carbon fibre and titanium, especially with this titanium axle in the middle, and the titanium chain rings are now 18% lighter too. This is actually the 5034 version. But Campagnolo does things a little bit differently. There's some sort of really intriguing engineering solutions on here that I really like. So firstly, the bearings are mounted actually onto the spindle on each side rather than into the bike, and they're ceramic and have a very substantial seal on the outside of each bearing. This is to help improve the longevity and durability of your bottom bracket. You also have, which you can probably see here, a hearth joint that connects the two sides of the crankset together. This is this serrated pattern here onto the titanium axle. This is something that's actually quite hard to machine, and it's just a wonderful piece of engineering. It actually comes from aircraft crankshafts from, I think, the 1940s. But it has a number of advantages in that it can take very high loads, but it also is self-centering and there's no lag in the joint. Campagnolo reckon it's the best way for getting power transfer from the pedals, but just as a piece of engineering, it's wonderful.
Look, I know what you're thinking. That all sounds great, Ollie, but how much does it weigh? Well, unfortunately, I've not been able to take it apart because this Groupset is so hot right now that we've only been able to borrow it for a couple of hours, where I picked it up from Campagnolo Mega Base in Vicenza, and I've actually got to take it back later today. But I did ask the engineers, and they told me that it weighs ever so slightly more than the previous Super Record EPS. And the figure they gave me was 2,520 grams. I've been told that things like the batteries have added a bit of weight, but they've worked hard to shave off weight in all sorts of creative places. Things like the calipers and also just the backing plates of the brake pads are now lighter. The chainset, as I mentioned, that's lighter too. And the cassette, depending on which one you go for, is around 50 to 60 grams lighter.
Looks pretty good sat there, doesn't it? I mean, look at this. I mean, there's just something so romantic about finishing your ride in Italy, in a place like this, on a bike that's fitted with the finest Italian components available to humanity. I mean, you look at around us, it's just all about the heritage, isn't it? It's just all about the... Oh. Anyway, there you have it. The new Super Record Wireless. Let us know what you think about it in the comments below. I'm really keen to know your thoughts. I'm gonna go get a pizza now. Right.